Hey fam, welcome to another episode of The Doors That We've Opened. I'm Blake McKay. I'm joined with my beautiful wife,
Bethany McKay.
And together we make up the McKay Group real estate team. This show is about faith, family, real estate, and lifestyle in the Middle Tennessee area. We hope that it encourages, inspires, and maybe motivates you in some way to do awesome things with your life. If you want to follow us a little bit closer, we're on Instagram at Nashville Top Realtor. We also have a really cool show out called Nashville Next Door. And if you do a keyword search on your streaming platforms for American Dream TV Network, you can see us there. If you need any help with social media, whatever the case may be, photography, videography, or studio sessions like this one, make sure you check out Clutch Socials and City Limit Studio. Thanks to Mitch and Hope for all of your help.
So come along with us on this episode of The Doors We've Opened.
Hey everybody. On today's episode of The Doors We've Opened, I talk with Bethany about whether your personal residence should be considered an investment or something else entirely. It's a question that I've been rolling around in my head, and I just kind of brought it up to her off the cuff, and we made a whole episode about it. Hope you enjoy.
I mean, we do. I should say I do. You've gotten frustrated with me before and have said, can't our home just be something that you enjoy? Because I treat it like an exit strategy.
Yeah. Well, let's break that down a little bit. So the question was, can you think of your personal home as an investment? Now, Bethany and I, we have had tons of investors work with us in the past, and
we are investors.
And we are investors ourselves. And the key thing with an investor client or with our investments is we don't live in the place that we are deploying capital to acquire and either sell later or rent out.
Right.
Now, when it comes to a lot of popular media, when it comes to in investing in your single family home, make the investment to buy a home. Now, this is for you to live in.
Right.
And there's all of this intertwined language that we would normally reserve for an investment-only application. But it seems like whether it's the lending side or other agents or popular media treat your home that you live in the same way that many people think of investments. And I think so is that fair to say? Is that out there, or am I making that up?
No, I don't think I've actually ever thought of it that way, because there's mindset shifts right there, right? And it's funny because our personal residence, to me, I'm always thinking of it because I'm in real estate. I'm always thinking of it as an investment, right? Like, you can say this is your dream home or this is your forever home, but life happens, and I've seen life happen so many times that I also want to be careful with my investment into my home, because I'm always thinking, well, what if life happens and we have to resell?
Yeah.
And thinking in terms of that. But with our clients, you're right, we do use this interchangeable language that serves both investors and regular buyers and sellers. But I think owning a property as a whole should be treated as an investment, not just as a shelter.
Yeah, I agree with it mostly. And here's why. Because one, you do have a return. Let's say if you were to buy the home, make some improvements, and it appreciates because of the market, or you have added size to it in some way, shape, or form, like you get to realize those gains eventually.
Right.
Secondly, it's not quite investment language because the money isn't growing, but you're securing your shelter cost. Like, your shelter cost isn't going to go up. Insurance and taxes aside, I'm aware of that. But
caveat.
If you were to get a 30-year fixed mortgage or a 15-year, or if you were able to buy it all cash,
right,
like your shelter costs are secured from the day that you purchased it.
Right.
So we bought our current home in 2022. Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2022, we had more favorable mortgage rates
A little bit. It was right when it was starting to turn.
Yeah, it was starting to creep up. So
ours is not the 2.8.
Yeah, it's not free money or anything like that. But we tied our money to 2022 standards, which I think is really cool. Like people don't give that enough credit for. Like your future costs are tied to last year's money. And when it comes to inflation or rate increases or anything like that, like that part of your monthly budget is
secured,
stable. That payment is kind of depreciating while your house is appreciating.
Right.
So that it does fit some investment language.
Yeah.
But where it doesn't fit is where you want to you want to realize some of those gains and have the same kind of lifestyle, same kind of size of the house that you bought in 2022. Right.
But you can, I mean, like even with strategies that we do, you can take out some of that equity and put it into. So it's not like you don't have complete access to some of that money.
Yeah.
If you've had appreciation and you have put down, it's not everybody can put down 10 to 20% in a home. And that's okay when you first start. When we first started, we only put 3% down on our first home because that got us into home ownership. Well, then when we sold that house, it gave us $250,000. So yeah, we were able to put down 20% into the next house. So we already have that equity because of the amount of money that we put down. So we don't, and we're going to keep paying off our house faster by, even if you just double one payment a year, helps pay off the life of the loan so much faster, right? And then you can take that equity and use it for whatever type of investment.
Yeah. So I don't
think I'm quite understanding.
We're going with the advice is it depends on your personality. Oh
yes, very true.
So, Bethany and I talk investments all day long. That's our business, our lifestyle revolves around it. So we just naturally gravitate towards thinking about that.
Yeah, probably.
And if you're not that way, that's fine.
But I do with my clients, especially my buyers and sellers, I ask them a lot of questions when we're going through the process. And I help them think long term, not just in the next year. And I ask them hard questions. Okay, here's a great example. Young girl bought a townhome. She got a new job. She was saying she was going to stay with this new job forever. And I was like, oh, dear, sweet little baby. You may not be staying with this job forever, but I love that you love your job. She knew not a soul, but she was going to buy a townhome. Now, this townhome for her situation was a great fit. I mean, the payment was less, and she only put 3% down, by the way. Her payment was less than, I think her payment was $1,500 a month for this 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome, and it had a back porch area for her dogs. Well, I said, you need to stay in this home for the next 3 years. Is that what your plan is? And she said, yes. Okay, well, less than 1 year of living in that home, she called me and she's like, I don't like my job. I'm leaving my job. I thought I was going to live here forever. I need to go back home. I need to go back towards where family and friends are. Can you sell my house? And I'm like, oh, sweetheart, you need to rent that house out because you will get rent for the amount of your payment, and they won't do it. They're too risk adverse. And so I'm trying to sell their home, but I can't compete with the other new construction homes for what she paid for it less than a year ago. So the reason why I ask these questions, so that when they do come back to me, I can be like, do you remember this conversation that we had? This is why I said that. And, and it helps to get people to think long term, not just immediate needs.
Yeah. So I definitely think there's so much wisdom in that, because obviously we see the result of not planning for the long term when it comes to purchasing something long term, and it's meant to be long term.
Right. Real estate is not a quick way to get rich.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's a long-term marathon strategy, risk involvement. Now, you can do a flip and you can make quite a bit of money off of a flip, one transaction. But even with that, it takes time and babysitting and lots of different things, you know, as far as we say in our business, or I even say to my clients all the time, like, what's one line that I say a lot? Choose.
Don't eat before you swim. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Yeah, choose your hard, right? Because I feel like everything is just hard.
Yeah.
Life is hard. Like, there are so many decisions, whether micro or macro, that we make on a daily basis. And a lot of them are hard decisions. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be hard. When I talk to my clients, this is going to be hard. But within this hard, you get to choose your hard and how you want this to go within the realms of what you are saying you're willing to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like, there's a risk, there's multiple risks, there's just hard. Which hard is it that you know you can be consistent with and or choose and live with? Mm-hmm. And so that's how it is in real estate. Yeah,
that's one of the things that I kept on hearing the language of investment, and I was just like, but I don't think it is an investment. I think, you know, the advantages of owning a home are that you secure your shelter cost. I've already said that, and you get to enjoy the place as your own. You get to do what you want with the home. You get to
updates.
You get to do
Make
the
it your
updates.
own.
You get to enjoy the life that you want within those four walls. And then for the other side of things, where it's like, okay, investment, how do we treat this like an investment? How do we maximize our return and stuff like that? I just didn't think that most people would think of it in those terms.
Yeah.
I think that, and nor do I think that they have to. I don't think that you with all of the decision making that happens in finding a place to live, I don't think most people need to be like, well, is this a sound investment? No, this is the place where your family's going to grow.
Yeah.
We're not going to make you. We're not going to. We're not going to let you make a unsound financial decision.
Right.
But in terms of, will this add anything to your bottom line? I don't think that you necessarily need to be concerned about that unless we have that conversation on the front end,
right?
Where we're like, if someone comes to us and say, I want to buy my first house and I want to be able to section off parts of the house so that I can house hack. We're like, cool. Well, then we need to tour some houses where the floor plan allows for it. I want to build a additional dwelling unit. Okay, cool. Well, there's some zoning things that we need to take in consideration. Let's make sure that we're in the right spot for that.
Yeah.
But
I think actually a lot of people are doing more and more. I think I read an article lately, and I don't remember what the percentage is, but because home ownership has gotten so expensive, there is a lot of communal and generational and adding dad use detached additional dwelling units and different things that people are becoming so creative with in order to get into home ownership and the real estate game. It's fascinating.
Yeah, we get,
especially the younger generations, like, think about it. How are they going to get into home ownership? Well,
yeah, we get a lot of client inquiries about that. And I really like it because we are huge about our family, and just thinking about, your example of a young couple getting married and starting to have babies and stuff like that. Like that's the most financially and physically exhausting time in a family's life is when you're in the early stages of childbirth and rearing and stuff like that. So I love the idea. I think that if you've got good family dynamics, like,
it doesn't work for everybody.
Like
it wouldn't have worked for us.
Like willing parents or grandparents that like recognize this as a time where you are investing in the next generation even more by helping out. And this is another way of helping out. This is like the financial and shelter covering along with the emotional and physical support when it comes to
For sure.
that really intense time.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool. Like, we're seeing this cultural shift where that conversation's opening up more. I know when we were younger, it was like,
move out.
You move out.
You get a job.
Yeah, you move. Like
Bye-bye, little birdie. Fly.
That's the next step. Like, oh, you want to stay at home? You want to like stay in the area?
You better be in school if you're going to be staying at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Which causes like so much financial pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah. The dynamic, the culture is definitely shifting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to tie all this back together, what question you were trying to ask, I guess I've never really thought about it in those two different lights of, okay, this is meeting the needs that you need right now. Yes, it's good to think long term. Yes, it's good to make sure that we're setting you up for success and you can actually afford a home, obviously. But you don't have to, like, there's just so much knowledge on social media, other podcasts, there's just all this noise of like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you could do this, you could do that I think we all just get paralyzed with all the information that we don't take that next step of what we need to do to get into it, because there's just so much information.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it could be overwhelming if you're trying to, think of it in more terms than you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. So our advice is to be clear, to be direct on what your goals are, have a well-defined plan. If the home that you are buying next is going to be just the dream home, it's going to be the place where you do life and you are expecting to have the right area, the right schools, go for that. And if this is some part of a wealth building plan, have it well articulated and know how this part of the process is going to assist you in that goal.
Amen. So thank you for listening to today's episode on the doors we've opened. We hope that it was a blessing and an encouragement, and we hope that by telling our stories, you can learn from it and it can be an inspiration for you.